Gets it to LeBron for three for the win. Yes! LeBron James at the buzzer!
Gordon cuts through. They go to Barrett. He'll turn and shoot for the win.
Bingo!
Why do I feel like your background noise came back?
Is that Ori?
Me?
I'm gonna mute you and see if it's you.
I just
Yeah, it is.
It's you again.
You got a fan going.
He's got a fan going.
Yeah,
No.
I think you have a fan going.
I-
No. It sounds like a fan.
I thought we just fixed this. Let's see. You know what?
Well, he went to his headphones, but he's gonna want to. He'll probably leave once I tell him what the first topic is.
Crying river. You start crying. I mean, look, Celtics. I mean, we know what happened. Obviously, the JT thing, being hurt, tough spot for them. I thought they had a great game right after he got hurt with Derek White playing great. Jaylen Brown taking over the point guard duties. We had Sam Hauser giving him good minutes. Porzingis was sick or something because he was terrible and still had to win that game. Peyton Pritchard shot the ball poorly and still won it. So I thought they had a little bit of hope. I thought there was a little bit of hope for them there, but then come out and lose game 6 in the magnitude that they did, just breaking everything. I
disagree. I think once JT got hurt, like he was having a monumental game. When he got hurt, that would have been right if he doesn't go down. Maybe, but the Knicks have outplayed them. Just like you can't blow 20-point leads in game 1 and 2 at home and go down 0-2 on your home court and expect to win. However, I still think the Celtics should have won that series, even that happening going down 0-2. And we're gonna pop in our reporter from Boston. Hey, just give me a thumbs up when you're ready, Ori. I'm taking you off screen. Just give me a thumbs up when you're ready. But once JT goes down, like the fact I believe the Knicks just kind of took it easy on them, thinking, oh, without JT, we've got this. And that's the only reason that series doesn't end in 5 is they just, teams do that. They have a sleeper game. Like
that's true. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, but I mean, as someone who did predict the Knicks to make the conference finals and make the finals,
yeah, but you're a Korean. You just did that to be.
I thought the match. Hey, my matchups were solid here. I didn't expect JT to have, that he did have a couple outburst scoring games.
No, but you couldn't. There's no way you could have known that. Porzingis had HIV. JT was gonna rupture his Achilles. Like, there's no way.
Mikal didn't play as good as I thought, or OG. Like, they had a couple of games, but I thought they'd be a little more consistent. Cat, I think Cat was pretty solid throughout. He had a couple one down game early, but he was solid. Jalen Brunson was fine too. I mean, I think they exploited the matchups that they knew they could, whether that was Cat on the inside. Mikal and OG again. I don't think they ever went off together much of the games, but they each kind of one had off that the other one kind of stepped up, so it was kind of okay, except for the games that they really lost big. But again, the matchup wise, I do think even if JT's healthy, Knicks winning in 7 or 6 wouldn't have been shocked.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have shocked. So the question then becomes, right, like, where do the Celtics go from here? Because if the Celtics, and obviously I'm joking, they don't suck, but if the Celtics, are now in a position where, like, let's be honest, the Porzingis experiment is over, right? Like, he's not reliable, right? He's very unique. Right, he's a unicorn of a player. That's why they call him that. But he's unreliable. He's inconsistent, and you can't build you can't build a championship contending, meaning over a number of years, team with a person that's that inconsistent and unreliable. With their current situation, JT's going to miss at least half of the season, if not the entire season next year. Although it says 4 to 6 months, so he could be back theoretically halfway through the season. They're already on the hook for $232 million next year. forget as a Celtics fan, Ori, as a basketball enthusiast from a business perspective, you don't have JT next year. Do you just is that a throwaway year, or do you blow it up and say, how can I get rid of, you could probably get rid of $100 million with 2 players in Porzingis and Jaylen Brown and bring in a bunch of pieces to build around Tatum for the future?
Well, first and foremost, can you guys hear me all right now? We
Yeah.
get rid of that stuff.
I
Okay,
would have muted you if we could.
perfect. But this is why this has been such a ridiculous. It just shows you how quickly a budding dynasty all of a sudden looks like they're in so much trouble with such a serious injury. I mean, granted, like you said, 4 to 6 months is kind of what you're hoping with this. Maybe a best case scenario it comes around during the playoffs next season. But I think you're right in the sense that if you have to make these business decisions, Kristaps Porzingis is you got to get the value you can for him. I think at this point because the dwindling value is just not there. I don't see his value to other teams as much as he has here just because of that inconsistency that kind of just tags along with him and the injuries. And then, I mean, did we ever even find out what was going on with this whole sickness thing? I mean, we've obviously speculated, but I mean, this really put
Officially, we don't know.
a.
I've heard everything from nothing. He's just prone to getting sick, to long COVID, to pneumonia, to he's HIV positive. I've literally heard everything from nothing.
Just throwing Ebola too at this point. Just
Well, and that's part of the whole thing too, right? Was why is such a mystery with the whole piece? I guess I feel like he would get like there would be maybe not so much of this narrative of him kind of failing the Celtics a little bit. If
maybe they just don't
knew a
know
little
too.
more.
Like they just
And
test.
that's true.
They just generally don't know, right? That could be a thing that they figure out in the off season.
But I think you're in a position where you're kind of forced to move off these guys. Jalen's the tougher subject. Jaylen Brown, I think, is really where the hardest decision is going to have to be made because you mentioned obviously trying to get that money off the books and maybe rebuild the franchise around Tatum again and try to recoup as much as you can. But I don't see the Celtics moving off of Brown. I really think that they'll probably see next year as maybe like let's see what happens kind of year. And
Next year,
I don't like it.
I think this is a perfect opportunity to actually build an even a better dynasty in the sense that you could use this as that down year. Look, if I'm start next season, Jaylen Brown says my ankle is sore, thigh sore, I might sit him out a month just to get him out there, play the young guys, be really bad, get that high draft pick, pull like a San Antonio Spurs, what the Warriors could have done if they picked the right big man instead of picking a bad player. They can add a Tim Duncan-esque, type thing where you just draft the guy. If you're a good team, really elevate him. You still have JT. You'll have Derek White. You have Jaylen Brown. I guess Drew Holiday they could probably get off to, maybe bring in a young piece. So I think this is a brilliant time to tank the year, add a great draft pick, great young player to add to this team, and you're right back in it. You're right back in next year. So if I'm the Celtics, I'm looking to really, really limit Jaylen Brown and Derek White because there's no point of those guys playing really well and let's say a guy like Derek White really increases his value with no JT. He might be averaging 25 a night. You know what I mean? Doing something crazy. And then someone's going to throw him some crazy money, which you can't then match, and you're possibly going to lose him. So if I was the Celtics, I would legit try to throw away the year, add a young piece.
You say throw away the year, but keep the core, like keep White and Holiday and Brown, keep all those guys.
I'm literally having a conversation with hey, feel free to sit out as many games next year. I don't want Jaylen Brown, Derek White playing more than 20 games next year.
Right. So you want to keep them. You want to keep them, limit their ability so that they can essentially.
I want you to get a top 5 pick, top 3 pick.
Yeah. So essentially tank for a top 5 draft pick, like that guy. What's his name? AJ. I'm not gonna say his last name because I'll butcher it, but you know who I'm talking about. but keep that $230 million of payroll and then run it back with a healthy Tatum, those guys, and
Top 5 draft pick.
whoever the draft pick is. Here's the problem with that. Okay, and that's fine. So you're throwing away a year. Everyone's going to get a year older, but they're young enough that's fine.
Mm.
Although I don't think Porzingis will last.
Porzingis, yeah, sorry. I think Porzingis is gone, and Drew you could consider trading for a piece that's a little younger if a team came calling for him. So Drew and Porzingis, I could flip, whether it be for a draft pick or just another defender, maybe who's younger.
So here's the concern with that.
Mm-hmm.
So let me pull up the numbers so that I'm accurate, and then I want to ask a question, which also some people in the chat have asked, which is, what would Dave Doghouse was like? What can Brown be outside of Boston? So I have a bigger question than that. So I'm going to tag that question in a second. But here's the thing. So next year, they're $223 million already. The only people who aren't signed are Al Horford, who, let's be honest, probably should retire. Like, although he'd probably give you another year, but he probably should retire. Mm-hmm. Luke Cornett is gone, at least in terms, people who are unsigned for next year. Torrey Craig and Drew Peterson. So everybody else is under contract for next year. Where it gets tricky is, so if you're saying that's the throwaway year, then you're right. Just keep everybody and you're fine. Like, you've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. You have 13 people under contract from this year's team. And the ones that I mentioned, you can, if you're tanking, even if you're not tanking, you probably live without those guys. And then you're going to throw in a couple of, minimum guys, whatever. In the next year, though, I think is the issue is that you still have essentially $200 million under contract, 199, 299. So I'll call it 200 million. However, that is now you're losing on top of those guys, Porzingis, Tillman, JD Davis. So you're actually not losing that many people either. But you're at $200 million. Mm-hmm. So you're so far over the cap, you can't bring in anyone.
Hence why you need the top 5 draft pick. You signed the guy to his rookie deal. You're not going to get a top 5 draft level guy, impact player with no money. That's the best way to add to it.
So honestly, yeah, if you bounce right.
So that's option one. That's option one. But you're going to have to do some, jump through some. So now here's the thing that I said is where you can get creative is that a $30 million expiring contract in Porzingis next year is a tradable asset. You can get a package of 2 players, maybe 3 players that are going to be bench guys, role players. Don't get me wrong, but for that now there'll be longer term contracts or maybe 1 or 2 bad contracts. But you get out of that, and now you can add to your depth in place of Porzingis. The other contract that's expiring is only $2.5 million, so that's not. We're throwing around $2.5 million because that's nothing, right? Here's scenario 2. So that's scenario 1. That's cool. I disagree with it, but that's scenario 1. Scenario 2 is they say we got our championship out of this roster. Now let's see what we can do. Where if we're thinking, listen, Drew's our 1, let's say, right? Tatum is really our 3, and now we want to build around that core, right? Maybe Derek White. I don't know who it is as a bench guy. I don't know. But let's get rid of that $100 million in Porzingis and Brown. Porzingis, like I said, expiring contract, you can get rid of him. Who is paying $50+ million for Jaylen Brown, and where would he have, if anywhere, success outside of Boston as a $50+ million number 2, or is he a number 1 somewhere?
I think a team trading a disgruntled star or who wants to leave. So whether that be a Giannis, if he chooses to do that, a Devin Booker would be interesting if he wants to leave Phoenix in that situation. Those 2 guys, jump to the top of my head. So if they want to, if a star player wants to leave, you want to match salaries and get a young piece who's still a good NBA player, whether you think he's worth it or not. If a star player is going to leave, I think you can just take on that contract and see how Jaylen Brown can do on his own team. Maybe, thinking he can maybe pull a James Harden type thing where he goes to his own team and just, really starts to perform really well. So I can see that kind of working out. It can end up being a win-win. So I think, a lot of people say Devin Booker and JT are a better combo than Jaylen Brown and JT. Some people won't. it'd be interesting to see. JT and Giannis will be interesting.
I'll tell you right off the bat, it's worse because
defensively
you get defense out of Jaylen Brown. You will not get that out of Devin Booker.
It's true. That is true. With you there.
So what's your view on Jaylen Brown as the number one option overall? I understand that's kind of the essence of the question here, but like, do you think he is one?
No, I don't believe he's a number one, and I don't think Jason Tatum is a number one on a championship team. The reason it worked in Boston is they were like 1A, 1B, but in reality they were like 2+ A, 2+ B, and the fact that they had like the deepest, most talented roster, right? With although Porzingis got hurt in the finals, getting them there, Porzingis was playing great. Derek White played great. Drew Holiday will give you the defense, and then when you need 25 points, he dropped that too. Derek White played great. Like everything just fell into place perfectly. Like just think about it. Although I disagree with this, Jaylen Brown did win the Eastern Conference MVP and the Finals MVP. It wasn't even Tatum who won it. So that's not a knock on Tatum. I don't think he's that type of player or consistent enough of a player where he can be the number one and there's a gap, like a big gap between him and the number two, like you see on other teams. Like when Jokic won his, Jokic is the best player in the world. But there was a significant difference between Jokic and Jamal Murray, right? There was a significant difference between Giannis and whoever you want to say was his number two, Holiday, Middleton, whoever you want to say was his number. There's a significant gap. I don't think there is a gap, but I don't think it's significant between Tatum and Brown. And that's what you need for Tatum to be successful. So Brown on any other team, I would say is a 2. And in that case, who's going to, again, other than Boston, who had the Burge rates, who's paying $50+ million for a 2?
It'd be tough to take him out.
You could toss him up with Washington with Jordan Poole. He'd probably hit a 1, They would probably take anybody.
He could be a 1 and lose, right? Like anyone can be the best player on a losing team, right? Like I could be the best player on a losing team, no problem. Or we go 0-82, but you want to put me in the NBA right now as the best player on a team? Sure, no problem. I can do it. But I mean, on a winning / championship contending team, he can't be your 1.
He wouldn't be a 1. I mean, if Denver wanted to move off of Murray, that'd be intriguing. I don't know if Boston would do it, but
that would be interesting.
That would be
the interesting too is Charlotte. Charlotte, having like a little veteran leadership to kind of play with LaMelo Ball, knowing that Ball is who you want to be the one.
Who's Charlotte going to give to Boston?
Yeah, they kind of get screwed in the draft.
That money working would be probably need a few players. Yeah.
The money.
The Denver one works as it's a simple, like I think Murray's contract.
The Denver one works money wise. The Phoenix one works money wise. It actually might work. The Phoenix one might work the best in terms of money and, say, hey, KD, we're going to get you younger, better help and a defensive player. Like we know the only time KD won was when he was on a team that had a lot of scorers and defense, right? Like he went to I think they were 3rd or 4th ranked defense when he joined the Warriors. Now he made them the 7th once he joined them, but they were top 5 when he got there.
I thought KD was an all-world defender. What are you talking about?
Not for anyone who knows basketball. Get out of here. There's just not a lot of options, like I said, where there's that much money for a player that isn't a 1. So I think you're right. I think like a lot of people said blow it up, but I'm like, I don't think that's the case. I think you should just hold off, like you guys said, just tank the season or even just run it back, see what you can do. I don't even care. Go play the full season, see what you can do.
That's my thing. Is like that roster is talented enough without
tanking. What does tanking do? Like they're going to give the draft picks to whoever they want to give them anyways.
True. Make that phone call. Shout out Nico.
It's gonna go to Cleveland or Dallas. Yeah.
Shout out Nico getting the phone call, man. Send Luka to LA. Right. The big market will give you the pick.
Send Luka to LA and we got you covered. So let's move on. We talked about the team that lost. Let's talk about the team that won. Other than you who picked the Knicks to beat them, we'll give you your credit. Are we underestimating how good the Knicks are?
I think, you know what? Probably. And I'm gonna say that I'm probably the worst at it because I predicted the gentleman sweep. I didn't think that the Knicks had the grit. I knew Jalen Brunson was a dog, but I really wasn't counting on anybody else to bring it. And I color me surprised. They brought it, and Brunson was the best player in the series, in my opinion. And this just I I think we're gonna do it again, talking about Indiana, probably, because I feel like a lot of people are on that Indiana train. So we might underestimate them another series in a row. But say what you will, these guys show some tenacity and some heart that I didn't think that they had. So I'm really impressed with the Knicks.
Knicks are the favorite this series, without a doubt. I think. I think the Knicks. Knicks in the finals of my lifetime, or when I'm a grown adult, is didn't think I'd say that for a while. But hey, it's like we predicted, it happened. Knicks in the finals, baby. Like we predicted, Knicks in the finals.
Hold on, wait. You weren't alive.
I don't contradict myself there.
Wait, you weren't alive the last time the Knicks were in the finals?
No, I was like a baby, like a kid. I wasn't really like understanding.
I was about to pull a. All right, so anyways, Sheldon couldn't join us. It's past his bedtime. Okay, you were alive. Okay, so you're fine.
Yeah, I was alive. Just it was still a baby or a little kid watching.
Okay, that's fine. I was a grown ass adult.
But
I 100% will admit I underestimated the Knicks because I thought, and here's the funny part, I was right about the most of the reasons why. Okay, so here's why I underestimated them, why I thought they would lose the series, other than the fact that it's the Celtics, they're the defending champs, they're the deepest roster in the league. They should win, right? They're the favorite. Like, there was no reason why the Celtics should have lost the series. That being said, I was like, okay, so Jalen Brunson is going to do his thing. I was right about that. Check. Bridges is going to give you good defense, but be inconsistent on offense. Check. OG Anunoby is going to be good in certain situations defensively and inconsistent on offense. Check. Josh Hart is going to get some hustle points and rebounds, but not give you much offensively for the most part. Check. Tibbs is going to play his guys way too much. Check. And they're going to get tired and wear down. So that's not necessarily a check, but it was all part of that one string where he was going to play them too much. Check. Cat is going to fold like a cheap suit. Not so much. Like a couple of times, but not so much. So how can I be right on 6 of 7 things? And yet I'm looking at this team going, damn, like they came back from 2 20-point deficits. And they looked like they were the defending champs who were calm and collective. And even though they were down, just chip away, shoot away, and come back. And the Celtics looks like they were the rookies, struggling to hold the lead because they didn't know what to do. They don't know how to slow it down. They don't know how to, make the extra pass. It was mind blowing. So I'm 100% underestimating them. And you're right. I'm underestimating them in the next series too. I think there's no way that they're going to go against a team that has this much firepower that can go at this pace and beat them.
They win at every position except for one. I feel like against Pacers, they win at every position except for one. I think like point guard, I'm taking Brunson over Halliburton. Even though that's close, respect Halliburton. I'm taking Brunson over Halliburton. Cat over Miles Turner. Mikal Bridges over, will it be Naismith? Naismith there too. I'll give this only edge in the Pacers starting lineup is Siakam over whether it's OG or what if Josh? It'd be OG. I'm taking Josh Hart over.
I don't know. Yeah, I think OG is the guy who'll know Siakam inside and out and be able to. Life different.
That's true. It could be like difficult. I think Siakam's better, but yeah, it'll be difficult for him for sure.
This is the same exact thing though that we were saying, about Cleveland versus the Pacers though. Like at every position, Cleveland had an advantage. Like the Pacers, their thing is cohesion. Their thing is they have an offensive engine in Halliburton, and they have the right 3-and-D pieces and athletes that you need around him. Every guy. How many guys they have averaging over 14 points per game this postseason? Like they play as a unit, and that offense, is one of the most unique offenses we've ever seen, in NBA history, just compared to what they actually have accomplished. So I mean, this is a team, really a situation where it's really two teams that I think have been underestimated all season. So I think that's going to make this series super intriguing.
Do the Pacers have a Pistons vibe to them? Not obviously as good defensively, but I just want to say like Chauncey with Halliburton, and then like just good players around.
I get like 04, 05 Suns vibes, to be honest. Like I kind of feel like they kind of have that run and gun kind of unique style, fast pace, where everybody can shoot it, everybody can play a little D, everybody can kind of go off if they had to, like with the Neesmith and the Obi Toppins of the world and the Nemharts. Like they're a team that I feel like on paper it's easy to underestimate, but then once you see them get going, it's like, oh geez, I understand why these guys are good.
I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah, their starting lineup is so you think Turner, you have Cat over Turner.
Yep.
We're saying you have Siakam over OG, and you're right. It is Nembhard, Naismith, and Halliburton.
I'll take Hart.
But they're deep. Like they're deep. They go pretty. They go pretty deep into their bench versus New York, which is going to do what they like. Tibbs is going to do what he does. Yeah. In terms of playing these guys. So let me give you some Knicks numbers of the last game. Sorry, Ari. But their 38-point margin of victory is the largest in a playoff game in franchise history. The previous record. Anybody want to guess what year the previous record of 36 was?
36.
They won by 36.
I'm trying to think of playoff series where
just guess a year. It doesn't even matter.
2002.
All right.
I mean 98.
98. All right. And then I'm going to ask you two questions and give you the answers. And what team do you think they beat by that much?
The Pistons.
I was just gonna. We'll do. I'm sorry, Nets.
All right. So you have 2002 Nets. I don't know even if they played in 2002, and you have 98 Pistons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The largest margin of victory before that 38 point was 36 points. April 20th, 1970 against the Bucks.
Jesus. Wait, Kareem on that team? No, 70. Was he on the team? No, okay.
No. That's what the Knicks were good though, right? It's the 70s. I mean, that's their glory years. Is right there. 71, 70. Yes.
Josh, hold on. He might have been. Now that I think about it, because he was. No, I think he might have already been to the. Now you're gonna make me check before I do anything else.
If Kareem was there.
Yeah, because he was on the Lakers for like 8 years before Magic got there, which was 79-80. So in 1970, he was on that team. Whether he played, that's a different story.
Yeah.
Well, you like to imagine.
It was his it was his rookie season, so he was definitely there. And
oh my gosh, he was 36, 5, and 16 in that first round in the playoffs that year. That's wild. Kareem. Shut up, Kareem.
34, 18, and 5. But he still got smoked by Willis Reed.
That's crazy to put those numbers and get smacked like that.
Year. So okay, so then here we go. Josh Hart, 10 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, became what number? So how many? New York Knicks to record a triple-double in a playoff game since Walt Frazier did it in 1972. So since 1972 when Walt Frazier did it, how many Knicks have had a triple-double in a playoff game?
Holy smokes.
Maybe he's the second one.
I was just going to say, I'm going to say, like, I'm going to give him, like, the benefit of the doubt and say, like, he's number 4.
He is the first player on the Knicks to record a triple-double in a playoff game since Walt Frazier in 1972.
That's crazy.
Makes sense. I was thinking maybe Ewing snuck one in there, but
1972 is only like 20 years ago, so it's not that bad. Not 50
that's
years.
What tells himself. It's like, it's like 20 years ago.
I'm like, it can't be that old. I remember that. All right, Knicks had 4 players: Brunson with 23, Anunoby with 23, Bridges with 22, Karl Anthony Towns with 21, score at least 20 points in the same game. How many times have 4 players on a team done that in NBA history?
Oh man.
Well, regular season and postseason. We're talking just postseason.
Sorry. How many NBA teams have done that in history in a single playoff run? How about that?
Oh,
Where 4 guys on a team scored 20 plus.
4 guys on a team, 20 plus.
Yeah, what team could score 20 plus?
jeez, I'm trying to think of like the teams that were even capable, and it's
I mean, like you said, those early Suns teams maybe could have had like Marion, Stoudemire.
Let me make sure you're clear on the question.
Yeah.
So the Knicks quartet, so those 4 guys that scored 20 plus points in the same game, for the third time this postseason. Okay, so it was the third time this postseason that those four scored 20 plus points in the same game.
Yeah.
How many other times has that happened in NBA playoff in a playoff run?
So they had to do at least 3. They had to have at least 3 times when they did it in that run.
No. So how many foursomes have scored? All 4 of them scored 20 points in the same game in one playoff run.
One playoff run.
I got you. So yeah, so a foursome in a single playoff run. Jeez, yeah, that's still.
I'll say 3 times.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
The New York Knicks foursome scored 20 plus points in the same game for the 3rd time this postseason.
Yep.
No other foursome in NBA history has produced 3 such games in a single playoff run.
No other less than 3.
0 is the correct answer.
Damn. Yeah.
Wow.
So we might be looking at this is the next year. We're going to get to it. The Knicks 16 of 45, 16 of 4. Last one. We give the Knicks some love. The Knicks 16 of 45 on 3 set a franchise record for 3-pointers attempted in a playoff game. They surpassed their previous mark of 40 3-pointers established when?
I'm gonna say it was in the Carmelo J.R. Smith era. What that year was? 2000 and was that 11?
That's what I was thinking. Like 2011, 2013, somewhere in between that.
Yeah, that Carmelo J.R. Smith.
It was 2023.
Oh, no. That makes sense.
They did it May 2nd, 2023, and then matched it 4 days later, and did it again. But yes, but they blew it away. It's 5 more. Like five more is a lot. Like people think it's only 5. No, 5 more is a lot. All right, that's enough for the Knicks trivia. So let's do predictions for this series, and then we'll get and talk about the West a little bit. Now that series is done as of today.
Sure. Go ahead.
Who you got? No, you. Who you got?
No, I was just gonna say. I mean, we're starting predictions off. I'm gonna start by just saying I'm going to underestimate the Knicks again. There's something about this Pacers squad that like a part of me wants like this Minnesota versus New York finals because that would just be intriguing given the trade. But like something about the Pacers, man. I don't know. Maybe it's the hype train. Maybe it's just the way they dismantled Cleveland so easily. Like I'm feeling this Pacers squad.
I got the Knicks in 6. We'll do Knicks in 6. Like I said, I just think positionally, at each position or most positions, they're better than the Pacers. Having the best player on the court, always important. I actually think wing rebounding would be huge. Pardon?
Having the best player on the court is always important.
No, I mean it's always important, not the deciding factor, but always important.
How did it work out for Denver?
Yeah,
Denver.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be a LeBron thing, but okay, yeah. But
you go with that one too.
That one too. It's always nice having the best man on the court, right? But I actually think this biggest thing here, I think a lot of wing rebounding. I think Turner and Cat both play on the perimeter, so I think they're just going to take each other out of the middle. It's going to be kind of a wide open paint. So I think a lot of Josh Hart, Mikal, OG getting to the rim for rebound, even Jalen Brunson attacking the rim with no one there in the middle. I think that's going to be big for New York, and I think they're going to kind of feast on the inside through their wings. So give me a New York in 6.
I'm going to go counterintuitive. So everything in my heart, my mind, my soul tells me that the Pacers are taking this series. And I've picked against the Knicks every round, or at least the first 2 rounds. So I'm going to go with the opposite and either see, 1, can I get it right? Or 2, can I put some bad juju on the Knicks and get them to lose? So I'm going to go with the Knicks. I'm going to stick with you. Knicks in 6 in hopes that means Pacers in 6. I'm going to go with the Knicks in 6 because they're playing so well. They're in such good shape. They have to be for Tibbs. So the fact that he has like a 6-man rotation, like I think it's okay for them. And so when I look at the Pacers, I always doubt the Pacers as well. This is the problem because I'm like, who's that guy? Who's that guy? Like, I've always said this. To be a success, I've told you my philosophy on finals, and it's not coincidence. Like, every finals team has this makeup with 1 or 2 exceptions, right? Where they have that superstar who you just give him the ball with the last 2 minutes left and go get us a bucket, and he can. Rebounding, defense, all the other stuff. I'm not going to go through it all again with you. However, I know the Knicks have that guy. I know I can give the ball to Jalen Brunson and say, hey, we're down 1, we need a bucket. And 8 times out of 10, he's going to find a way to score. This is actually why I'm not going to go down that path. Let me stick in this era because I was going to go talk about something else. Who is that for sure? That one person on the Pacers, like Halliburton did it once, but he's not consistently doing it. I know what Pascal Siakam does. He plays a great game, and then every time the clock strikes 2 minutes left in a game, it's spin move, turnover, spin move, air ball, spin move, miss shot. That's what he does for the last 2 minutes of every single close game. Go watch the tape. Is it Miles Turner? No. Is it Nembhard? Not consistently. Is it right? Like Mathurin? Is none of those guys are that guy. And so it's one thing to say, oh, we do it by committee, but unless you're like the most elite defense I've ever seen in my life, like the 2000s, early 2000 Pistons, I don't know that any team has ever won without having that person.
Yeah, it's true.
So I'm gonna go with Knicks because when you say having the best player on the court, I'm like, kind of yes and no. Right now, I'll use the Raptors as another example. When they won their chip, what was the difference other than LeBron leaving the East? Was DeMar DeRozan wasn't as good or as consistent at making buckets with 2 minutes left in ISO as Kawhi was.
Sure.
A lot of 90s haters really, they're trying to glaze over LeBron James saying for a team to be like successful, they have to understand and utilize and be good at the mid-range, both in utilizing it as a place to pass out of, but also scoring from the mid-range. And they all went crazy. But that's what you have to do in the playoffs because teams will take away what you do best, right? I get it. Steph got hurt, but go look at his playoff performances. Like when they want to shut him down, they've been able, especially in the fourth quarters, like they've been able to shut him down. So it's interesting that I think the Knicks have that, and I don't think the Pacers do, and I think that's going to be the difference in the series.
I like that. I think the league would like to see the Knicks in the finals. I think they want to. There's also a push to the new NBA superfan. It could be a passing of the torch from Spike Lee to Timothy Chalamet. See, he's getting a lot of screen time in these Knicks games. He's the new guy. It's a new it guy. Got his movies.
Listen. Timothy Chalamet is the right now guy. He is not replacing Spike Lee, who's been there since like the 80s.
I hear you. The new generation.
There's no new generation.
They got Kylie, who seems like America's sweetheart now. She's become a white woman again.
That's the point. Is they're showing him now because he's popular and is with her, and then next week when they break up, you're never going to see them at the next game again. So no.
And Spike Lee will still be there.
And celebrities are always bad luck. Justin Bieber was at the Leaf game tonight, and look how that turned out.
Hey, Drake. The Drake curse continues. He put $1 million. He showed the slip, and what do you do?
Well, there you go.
Not to change the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson. Just if we kind of play the hypothetical here, and he gets that title shot, and maybe he comes out with it. Where does that put him on the Knicks hierarchy?
Why does everybody ask that?
I do because like I feel like their hierarchy is so tiny.
How
Like it's
long
kind of
has he played for the Knicks?
I get that, but I'm just saying
How long has
like
he played for the Knicks? I don't think you
they
get it
have
'cause in the question. How long has he played for the Knicks?
well, okay, but what conversations do we put Kawhi Leonard in for that 1 year with the Raptors, right?
We don't, because the
We
Raptors
put
don't have a storied franchise with a history, right? When
well,
he was there, they were 20 something years old and they'd never made it out of the second round. So there's no history there. The Knicks have not only made it out of the second round, they've won multiple championships. They've gone to multiple finals. They've had, you know, elite level MVP level, not necessarily always winners, MVP level talent. You're taking a guy in Jalen Brunson who is not a top 10 player in the NBA, who has never won an MVP, who's been there for 3 years or 4 years.
I think this is going on, right?
Fourth.
So this is his 4th year. Okay. So, and you want to throw him ahead of guys who've been there for 10, 15, whatever years. That is the most ludicrous, in the moment, childish thing to do.
I think the conversations are struck. Jay Williams, I got it from Jay Williams on
Yeah.
ESPN.
Well,
Right?
Jay Williams is an idiot. So
He said
think.
what?
So hold on. When LeBron,
Go ahead.
when LeBron goes to LA, okay, let me use another storied historical franchise. He goes to LA. Year 1, he doesn't make the playoffs. Year 2, he wins a championship. Does he get into the top anything of Laker lore?
No, but like comparing the Lakers to the Knicks, I mean that's the Knicks have what, one title in 71?
Is LeBron? He doesn't even break into the top 10. So
But
we're talking
Who,
this
LeBron not top 10 Laker of all time?
after his second year or third year.
Oh yeah, no. But I'm saying like the Knicks.
To put Jalen Brunson as the greatest, because that's the question, right? Greatest Knick of all time after 4 seasons because he wins a chip. It's ridiculous.
Would it be top 5?
I was questioning more where he is on the hierarchy though, because I mean obviously we got the Fraziers, Willis Reed, Patrick Ewing, we have the guys, but because of the lack of championships, especially from that '90s squad,
After those 3, it
I
can get a
just
little blurry. After those
yeah,
3,
I just with in rings culture, I
But then-
wonder
then
where
you're
the
judging
status.
then you're judging everybody by rings. And there
Well,
has to, when you're talking about a franchise best player, at least the conversation about greatest player, you can't just be, oh, he won. So that would mean Kawhi's the greatest Raptor of all time, right? It would mean Dwayne Wade is the greatest. Well, he probably is the greatest Heat of all time.
He's a Heat player, yeah.
Yeah, but he was also there forever. So I'm trying to think of people who are only at a short time somewhere. Who are the only people?
I mean, what do you put Carmelo?
Situation like this.
What do you put Carmelo in the Knicks hierarchy? Is he top 5 Knick of all time?
I think Knick fans would tell you that.
Yeah. So if
I
Carmelo's
think Knick fans love him. I think Carmelo's very overrated. And I think people forget the Willis Reeds, the Walt Fraziers. They don't know how good Patrick Ewing was. But you're right. There isn't a lot of those guys after those 3, because the Knicks are kind of built on this kind of team defense, blah 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 type of philosophy. So who were there? Like after that, it's like I said, Reed, Frazier. I'm sure I'm missing somebody. Ewing, Melo.
I'm just gonna say he's tied with Melo for the 3rd ever, for highest points per game per season. He has the 3rd highest ever. I mean, that probably
Bernard
helps.
King maybe a little bit.
Oh yeah, Bernard King. I always forget Bernard King. Yeah, Bernard King. But you're right. There's not a lot, or AKA. I should say AKA Bernard King, AKA LeBron's dad. FYI, 9 months before he was born, Knicks were in Cleveland. Just saying. Go look at the facial structure. And they call him the King. Last name's King. They call him the King.
Could make sense. Why keep it a secret though?
He's super well because she was underage. He'd go to jail, statutory rape.
Hey, Carmelo's still out here.
Carmelo, somebody who paid somebody. No, but also Carmelo. Don't forget, Carmelo was still in university himself. Like he was actually young.
Okay, gotcha.
People seem to forget. Yes, she was young, 16, 17, but he was also like 18, 19. Stay focused. Go ahead.
Yeah. Just stay focused.
So yeah, so I don't think he becomes the greatest Knick of all time. I think he definitely puts him in the conversation for like that top 5, and assuming he stays there. Like I think to be a franchise great, you can't just be in and out.
If he stays there for a decade and wins a chip,
sure,
then he could be that's a discussion.
But I will say I struggle when people say, "Oh, well, he won it," and I'm like, "Well, Willis Reed won 2. Willis has 2 Finals MVPs. He's one of only 12 players in NBA history to have 2 or more Finals MVPs in NBA history. Like, how are you going to put him over Willis Reed if he wins one?
Wait, did you say he's one of 3 people to win 2 or more Finals MVP?
One of only 12.
Oh, 12. Okay, that's what I've got.
Yeah. So, like he's even better than Phil Jackson as a Knick. I don't know. No, I'm just kidding.
Do you have?
We know those conversations are going to happen though.
No. Yeah, it'll happen.
Do you guys have Giannis as a greater Buck than Kareem?
No.
That's
a conversation.
No? Okay. I was wondering. Okay, yeah, I still have Kareem. Yeah, I was just wondering if
No.
No, I mean, I think it's I still have Kareem. I think it's close. Yeah,
I was thinking about it because Kareem didn't like finish his career there. Although, like, I have Kareem over Giannis as an all-time player.
Yeah.
But the majority of his years were in LA. So
Kareem got 6 years in Milwaukee. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's why it was short. Like it was short-lived.
Yeah.
So, so if, it depends what Giannis does. Giannis, there'll be the case that Giannis went to the finals and won once. Kareem went, I think, twice and won one. He had
a couple MVPs. Kareem had Kareem got 3 MVPs in 6 years.
Kareem is the best player. It's like I said, the timing of how long he was there makes it a little issue. So to answer your question, what was your question about? What was your question about it?
We were just discussing the Jalen Brunson entering the Knick hierarchy of greats. So
yeah, so when you say will he enter the conversation if he wins a championship and Finals MVP? Yeah, he enters the conversation, but I don't think he becomes the number 1. I guess is where I would go with it.
I think that's a fair summation, but yeah.
So we made our picks. Yeah, we need to go to the West. So obviously today the Denver Nuggets, who probably shouldn't have even been this deep, they shouldn't have probably made it to Game 7. Let's be honest. OKC is a better team, a deeper team, a younger team. Like they have everything going for them. Does anyone want to talk about today's game? It wasn't really much when you lose by that much.
Yeah, they got ran up. They started off hot. Denver started off really hot to build up a little bit of a lead. It's like, oh, okay, OKC might be in a little trouble. They're really young. They might get caught here slipping, but then the better team won. Jamal Murray didn't show up. Didn't give a Game 7 performance that it usually gives the Lakers somehow, in clutch games. But it did show up. Aaron Gordon injury obviously didn't hurt, but he battled through it. Shout out to Aaron Gordon. Still kind of
shout out to Aaron Gordon. I was just going to say that. That's a big one. I think he deserves a lot of props.
Yeah. And I will say SGA is, for an MVP getting to the Western Conference Finals, I don't know if I've ever seen an MVP candidate play as bad as him and still win rounds. Like he has not been that good this playoffs. Like he has been like his teammates have stepped up when he's had poor games throughout the playoffs, bad shooting nights, even problems creating, penetrating. I think Jalen Williams stepped up, Chet stepped up. He's still he gets his points, but you really watch. He's struggling more than he did all regular season. And again, I think we'd be having very interesting or different conversations about him if they lost, which they easily could have.
Yeah, but again, if they lost 100%, you're going to have a different conversation. I think, however, I've said this a million times, the way the playoffs are being officiated, they're allowing a much more physical game, and that is not conducive for a player like SGA. It's not. Yeah. It's not good for guys who shoot a lot of threes. Check out the Celtics, right? Like it's not built for those types of guys because, people think I'm nuts when I say this because they want to knock like hand checking in the 90s and say how horrible it was. And look, it wasn't great, but at the same time, go to your local YMCA. Tell a guy to put their hand on your hip, and when you dip, I dip, we dip. No, put your hand on your hip, and then have you to go make a layup, and then do the same thing but shoot a three. Which do you think is going to affect you more on, a layup or a three? And anyone who's never played will say, "Oh, more on the layup." Wrong, because you're going through contact on layups more often, so you're used to it. Whereas as a three, you're just expecting to just shoot. But now if someone's pushing you, especially when you're in the air, even a little bit tapping you, it throws everything you do off, and all that power that you need to generate from your legs to shoot, like it gets taken away. And that's where sometimes I get into this kind of cyclical argument, because I believe two things can be true at the same time. And where the argument with myself is that you don't have to play basketball or ever have played basketball at a high level to understand basketball, to analyze basketball, to break down stats, break down plays. However, you do need that knowledge to understand some of the nuances, like what goes on in the locker room, how much power a coach has when they game plan or tell you, hey, I need you to do this, and this is your role, and if you don't do it, you're not going to play, and how you're affected when you're tired, how you're effective when someone puts their hands on you versus doesn't put your hands on you, when someone is playing physical with you versus not playing. Like, all those nuances are really hard to understand if you've never done it, right? Like, it's just, it's hard. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's hard. And so that's the thing where I say, like, was, not to get into a 90s discussion, but was 90s basketball better? No. Was it worse? No. It was different. And today, this playoffs, and it's too bad that look at the regular season and the playoffs. Like, they went from not letting them be physical at all in the regular season to allowing a lot of physicality. And it's like, it was too much, right? But you've seen the difference. You've seen the guys who can play through it, and the guys who, not to say they can't, need more time to adjust, right? Let's be very clear. I'm not saying they can't do it, but they need more time to adjust to it. SJ needs more time to adjust his game to it because he is a finesse player. Donovan Mitchell did not need as much time to adjust because he is not necessarily a high flyer, right? And so it was different. He adjusted to it faster. It might actually be the Olympics too, where they do allow some of this physicality. So that's the point of it. It's not. I don't believe one is worse than the other. I don't care if we're talking 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. They're all different. I don't now. Ask me my favorite right now. But that being my favorite doesn't make it. Magic Johnson is my favorite player. It doesn't make him the best, as much as I wish he was. He's not. The two things don't have to be the same. So that being said, Denver gets blown out. Not surprised. They were outmatched. However, there is something to be said about a team that's that good. That's a veteran. That most of the guys on that roster have gone to and won a championship. Jokic is the best player. Was the best player on the court. Is the best player in the league. So I'm not surprised that they found ways to win some games and to push it to 7. This is a young, right? OKC's a young team. And I hate to do what I did to Boston last year, but if OKC can make it to the final and win the final, they're young enough that this is finally a team maybe that could go back, just like Boston was. But thanks a lot. So when you look at the matchup now, Minnesota versus OKC, what do you see as the differences or opportunities, whatever?
This is a sweep. This is a sweep. OKC in 4. I think 3 of the games probably blow out, and the other game will be a close one, 100%. I just think Minnesota's been very fortunate with a couple things going on. So one, Minnesota first round, the mismatch, Lakers having no big. I think they were able to dominate there with Randall, even though Gobert didn't play the first couple of games, dominated that last game. But I think their size really affected the Lakers. And then going into Golden State, Stephen Curry injury, they ran very fortunate in that spot. When he got ruled out, pretty much easy for them. I guess it's OKC team. One, the advantage that they have with Gobert and Julius Randle, especially Randle, going up against a lot of these teams playing small at the 4. You don't have that against Chet and Hartenstein. Hartenstein and Chet are going to be bodies to put against those guys. Not going to have a huge rebounding plus there. I think Chet defensively is going to, maybe revert back Randle to his old playoff ways that we all know and love. I think he's going to probably have his worst series here. And on the perimeter against Anthony Edwards, he hasn't seen anybody like Lou Dort this playoffs. We all know what Lou Dort can do in the perimeters. He's going to give him a problem. Plus, they have a guy, even if they want to switch, with Caruso, Jalen Williams, they have a lot of bodies to throw at Ant. So when he's there, Jaden McDaniels has stepped up, but Jaden McDaniels hasn't seen a secondary defender like Jalen Williams or Caruso. There could be times where they have Lou Dort and Caruso on the court together, playing with, let's say, Jalen Williams when SJ is on the bench, whatever it is, and he hasn't faced defenders like that, so he's going to struggle. This team really, to me, doesn't have a lot of creators. Mike Conley's old, more of a spot-up guy really at this point with spurts.
So let me ask you that. Let me pause you there on that because we had someone in the chat ask that question, where should they be starting Rob Dillingham over Conley in this series?
They might. I think they should, and they might have to, especially for the creation. But I don't know if I don't know if the coach will do that. Maybe for after the first 2 games, if they get blown out first 2 games that they like, I expect they would. Maybe you'll make that switch. I would put Dillingham in for Mike Conley. I don't even think that'll make a difference though. I just think Minnesota was very fortunate the first couple series for things to go their way, whether it be matchups, injuries, things of that nature. I just think OKC matchup wise, they just have the answer for everything. Minnesota has the edge on other teams. They don't. And again, I just think Chet and Hardenstein are going to give that front Gobert and Randle a lot of problems. And again, with them having no creators really, to me, outside of Anthony Edwards, and him having to go against Lou Dort, to me, it's OKC in 4 with 3 games being 20-point blowouts. 1 will be close.
Do you think, and do you think before Ori gives his prediction, because I think it's the opposite because of the way that he's his facial expression when you said that, is Hartenstein the one that's on Gobert and then he's able to kind of cheat and help a lot more defensively because Gobert typically isn't an offensive threat, so you can kind of cheat off him a little bit?
100%. Yeah, I think Hartenstein is going to be on Gobert. If he wants to, he can cheat on him. I just think I think Chet's going to be there too. Like I think Chet being able to minimize Randle and what he's been able to do this playoffs is going to be game changing. And really, I think kind of the X factor. I think everyone else is going to do what they do, but Chet to me is going to be the X factor of this series. What he'll be able to do for Randle. All
right, Ori, I'm going to ask you to
snap back to reality.
Woo! Watch this one come through as well.
I just honestly, Sweep shocked me. I didn't think you were going to go that way. I'm not surprised you picked OKC, but as soon as you said that sweep, I was like, whoa! I became expressive for sure. I would lean OKC to win it. I'm not going to disagree with you there, but I think that we have a confident, tough Minnesota squad that has elite role players, and Anthony Edwards is a beast. And I all that's been said about SGA being a little inconsistent, I think Anthony Edwards has been more the other direction. And so I think this could be kind of that, face of the league type battle, since we always like to talk about that, Ant versus SGA. And at the end of the day, I think OKC's depth is going to be the difference. But I can see Minnesota making this a series. I would pick OKC in 6.
Yeah, I think OKC might be a clean sweep in terms of who's taking this series, but 4 seemed nuts to me.
Watch it happen.
However, anything is possible. However, you do bring up a good point. Hartenstein, Chet matchup, I think, very well with Gobert and Randle, offensively and defensively. And I think the one thing Lou Dort, and let me go back to Lou Dort in the regular season for a second. I thought being an elite perimeter defender is something that we do not give enough attention or credit to in the NBA, because I think it's the most difficult defensive position to play, for the simple fact that during the regular season, again, different in the playoffs so far, but in the regular season, you can't touch them. They shoot from 35 feet out consistently. like well, not just they shoot from there, they shoot from there consistently. So you got to guard further out than you've ever had to before. I've got the backup behind me philosophy of the 90s is gone because there's a defensive 3-second rule. So the perimeter defender has to slide out. On top of that, you have more and more 4s and 5s who aren't in the post anyways. They're all drifting out to the corners and out to shoot the 3. And like you got Joel Embiid going out shooting 3s, right? And he's an elite center. So so they've already kicked them out of the key because of the 3 seconds, but then their offensive player is able to shoot a 3 like Cat, etc. So they're drifting up further. So now you're kind of on this island where you got to guard a guy who can shoot 40, 35, whatever percent from 35 feet out, has incredible handle, right, and can get by you because they're super quick. So to be one of the elite guys who can do that, I had Dort as my defensive player of the year. Because I think it's way easier to be sitting there like, okay, I'm going to run baseline to the 3-point line. Like I'm good, guarding whoever. Like, not to say it's easy to be a big man. I'm just saying I think it's harder to be a perimeter defender. But typically where Lou Dort does struggle is not struggle, but where guys typically have an advantage over him is that they're taller than he is. Well, that's not the case here, right? Like I think he's 6'2", 6'3". Ant is 6'4". Like there's not now. Ant is a crazy athlete and can jump over him, but when they're on the ground, they're eye level. What's up, Chris? So I think Dort and Ant look, you're not going to stop Ant. But like I said earlier, one of his biggest strengths this year is shooting like around 40% from 3. That's going to be harder when you got Lou Dort, who is very strong, getting his hand up on your hip. And then you got SGA. And he's not a slouch defensively, but obviously Conley's going to they're going to have to switch obviously some of that, but if we were going match by position, that one's a very tough matchup for one of my favorite all-time players in the NBA, Mike Conley. And shout out to Mike Conley again. Thank you for being so kind to Fluent Jr. He still appreciates you, all the texts and phone calls.
Good guy, Conley.
He's he sat there and talked with them at the Pistons game in Detroit when they were playing Minnesota for like 25 minutes. Like he's like the dude, Conley. Like we'll never say a bad
guy. That's the coolest thing I think.
Yeah, we'll never say a bad thing about him ever.
Yeah, it's cool how like celebrities can, especially with kids, like just a 1 minute or 2 minute, 5 minute conversation, they'll remember for the rest of their life. Like it's crazy, like
he still says my buddy Mike Conley. That was the best conversation ever.
Right?
Like,
100%. It's like
that'll be with him forever.
Yeah,
we got the pictures, but he's like, who cares about the pictures, dude? Like, I 100%. I talked basketball with Mike Conley, who clearly knows what the hell he's talking about. You know,
just like, hey, if you get to have a conversation with Michael Jordan, if I get to have a conversation with LeBron about basketball, I'll remember it. Like,
I never want to have a conversation with Michael Jordan.
Really? You don't want to hate your someone.
Come on, give me a peacock now.
I had one conversation with him.
Oh, okay.
We talked about golf for about 3 minutes.
Oh,
and then he said, and this shows you how long ago it was. Hey, I got to get back to the hotel room, or Juanita's going to think I'm cheating. He eventually.
Oh, this was like
a long time. Yeah. It was. They were here when I believe the 96.
Oh,
they lost to the Raptors at home.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of the 10 losses in that 72 and 10 season. He was at Fluid up in the VIP.
Mm-hmm.
My trainer was the bouncer / VIP guy, and he's like, hey, there's a basketball player here that is sitting at the bar by himself, just drinking whatever he was drinking, a bourbon or tequila, whatever he was drinking. And I'm like, oh, cool. And then I saw who it was. I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, go. And he goes, but be cool. I'm like, yeah, sure. Left all my friends, went up, sat like a seat over, and I'm like, oh, you want a drink? Offered to buy him a drink. He's like, no, whatever he's drinking, give it, charge it to me. So And I looked at him like, you look really familiar. You play golf?
I like that. That's a good intro. So I like that. I might have to use that one.
We talked. So he the second he heard golf, he talked for about. I got maybe 3 words in. He talked about golf for about 4 minutes, and then was like, and he had finished his drink. And he's like, hey, I got to run, whatever. I'm like, and all I could think of after was, why didn't I tell him, hey, let me take you out for a round of golf next time you're in Toronto. Let me get your number. And I'm like, that'd be weird. So anyways, I always try to be cool. Maybe I was too cool, but anyway. But no, I don't
count as like 6 degrees of separation from Michael Jordan, because I feel like this is way cooler now.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, cool. But keep in mind, that 96 was the first year that I didn't hate Michael Jordan. Because prior to that, I hate like Michael Jordan, even to this day, isn't in my top 10 favorite players. But up until I want to say when Magic retired, and then I was like, and the Lakers, weren't really the Lakers for a couple of years there. I was like, oh, I started watching more Bulls games, right? I started trying to pick up more Rockets games, which wasn't easy, but I had a satellite, so I'd like find local Houston stations and stuff because I wanted to watch Olajuwon. I was, of course, watching my Lakers, like on KTLA and stuff, whatever. But anyways, long story short, yes, it's to have a sit down and have a conversation with anybody who knows. Like when we sat down, Tony Styles had Bob Pettit on the Hoopstorians, and we got to like talk hoops with Bob Pettit, Bob McAdoo. Like I will sit and just listen to those dudes talk anytime, and when they take the time to do it, it's amazing.
But Mike in 96, I mean, he was the most famous athlete in the world at that time. 96, I was gonna say, he didn't have security just like around.
There was 3 people up there. So there was him, the bartender, and for that minute, and that was it.
I think he travels with more security now than 96 looks like, but I don't know.
No, the guy who was the bouncer was like he was legit. Like no one, he's like no one's coming up here. Like no. And you remember? I don't know. You might not remember.
I remember Fluid. No, I didn't close down before I got.
Fluid was it was like a downstairs on the like club strip of Toronto. It was you go downstairs into it, so it's kind of like a basement sort of, but like
it's like 44 now. So you go downstairs into the club.
And it was also it was very loungy, and there was like different rooms. Gotcha. So there was like one smaller room that played like hip hop and R&B, and that's where the VIP was off to the corner of that. So. And then the other side was like the typical kind of club music. So that's where it was crowded. The hip hop and R&B room wasn't as crowded. And then the VIP room, that was always limited anyways. So there was always very few people. A lot of people didn't even know it was there the way it was kind of set up. So it was just it was just coincidence that I walked in to get my, hip hop fix. And then I saw him because I didn't even know he worked there. And let's be honest, I wasn't like, I'm clearly not like a regular guy who trains. So he's just like, hey Tony, what's up, man? How's it going? Right. And then he's like, and he was like, hey, you play basketball, right? And I said, yeah, I used to. He goes, hey. Here
it is.
Like that. It wasn't even like
no picture. You didn't ask for a picture. You just left. You didn't want to.
It wasn't. I didn't even
have VIP or no phone camera.
We didn't have camera phones.
True. I feel
You're gonna get a dial up,
I think I had a pager, like we were chiseling into stone. Like, hey, page me, bro. 96. I may have had a cell phone, but it was it was like a Motorola Flip, and you had
in a bag, maybe.
Yeah, with T9. Do you guys know what T9 is?
Yes. Oh yeah, that T9 predictive text.
That was crazy. Yeah, so T9, Jalen. I don't know what the hell those fireworks were. That was weird. I was gonna say. I think it was from this. Oh, there we go. Look at that. That's awesome. T9 was like if you wanted to, write the word Chris, you'd have to put 222, which was ABC, right? Like,
my first cell phone had that where there's 3 letters for each number, right?
Yeah,
it's like you go through.
If you want the C, you have to press 2 3 times. If you want an F, you have to press 3 times. Like it's crazy old. Anyway, but I hear you. But yes, it's very cool. Mike Conley's awesome. But if they were just, which they're not, but if he was going to guard SGA, like he's going to get cooked. Like there's going to be a problem there. So when I look at the matchups and then the depth, like you said, everything points in the direction of OKC, which I don't know. But that's why I'm sticking with them.
I hear you. And shout out Michael Jordan. See him on NBC next year. That'll be interesting to see what he'll spout.
Well, I'll tell you what he's not going to spout. And I'm about to have some fun. I don't know if our friends from Goat James Kingdom is still on, but he posted this article. And I won't pull it up. I'll just show it to you where it says Michael Jordan
breaks his silence. NBA legend joins NBC to confront the toxic legacy of his own fans. I don't think that someone made that up. There's no answer. Serious article.
So someone put that in as a serious article on this thing called Medium, and it's a guy, and it says by. Hold on. It says by Elliot Barnes, Chicago Tribune. Okay.
He's from Chicago. He just
Hold on.
Okay.
So I said, who is Elliot Barnes? So I looked up his profile on Medium, and he's got 1 follower. So it's interesting that a guy, Elliot Barnes from the Chicago Tribune, would only have 1 follower. So then I looked up where his source of the information that he said, sources close to, Jordan and his team say this. And so who's his source? And he got this guy he says NBA writer at Essentially Sports. This guy, Saomi Capri, whose only link goes to his Twitter account, which has 0 followers. So I said, okay, well, let's do a little bit more deep diving. It says he quotes the Times of India. So I looked at that article. That was fake. Then I pulled up as much as I can from the Chicago Tribune and, did some research. ChatGPT is a good tool for searching stuff, like for links. It's not good for answers because it gets a lot of stuff wrong. But like, hey, find me every link that has to do with this person. It's actually pretty good at. I also, Google searched it. I also did a directory search as part of the Chicago Tribune. I also called a few friends in Chicago, and they were like, "We've never heard of Elliot Barnes." The search came up that there's no one ever
fake alias, fake name.
Elliot. No, there's no record of an Elliot Barnes being a writer for the Chicago Tribune. And so I just thought it was funny that someone posts this, and people go and buy it and believe it and repost and then say, "Oh, but it's legit. It's Medium." Well, I'm going to go have some fun. So I actually hope that they're not on here, because Medium isn't a source. You can go write an article and then just post it on Medium.
It's like Reddit, right? It's just people's.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to totally now make up a post. I really hope he's not watching, because I'm going to give away what I'm going to do, but I don't care. I'm going to write up a post where it says Michael Jordan's the GOAT. And I'm going to quote GOAT James Kingdom as saying, yes, he is absolutely the GOAT. Although we're here to appreciate the greatness of LeBron, we do understand and acknowledge that Jordan's the GOAT, and that because of his PED use, his team hopping, his losing record in the finals, there's no way that he could be the GOAT. And I'm going to say, and I'm going to quote a Johnny from GOAT James Kingdom as saying that, and then I'm going to send him the post and say, here, since Medium is so legit, that's what you said. Look at this post where you said Jordan's the GOAT, so I guess it's legit. So we're going to have some fun with that. I see he's not here, so it was fun. So that being said, speaking of Jordan,
I'm shocked he's doing that too. Jordan? I'm shocked he would accept the NBC to halftime. Like, he just.
I think Jordan now is probably bored.
Actually, 100%, because he was not doing this 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit bored now that he's not kind of running Charlotte, which is good. He's not good at that. He was not good at that. But also, I think he's probably been getting a lot of they've been probably asking him a million times. And the one thing about Jordan is there is a loyalty and a nostalgia with him. So when it was NBC and they're like, hey, like, we're bringing that back. And so, I'm sure Ahmad Rashad was like, hey, I don't even know if he's still alive, to be honest. But like, hey, I have no idea. Hey, come on, you should come and do it. Like, I feel like, and it's under your own terms. And he sees like Tom Brady doing it. And
I thought the payday must have been huge. Like, he might have got
I don't know. Like, is he like he's
not like a regular? You think it's just very spot? Like, that's what I'm reading. Like, maybe 1 or twice a week.
I just don't feel like money would be an incentive for him.
I don't think it's the money. I think it's this, because it's 3 to 4. He's already like worth $3-4 billion, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's 2 things, and there's something about Jordan that we all know, right? If he's on TV and he's smart, he's going to sell more shoes.
Yeah, it's true.
And let's be honest. Like, he's the greatest salesman ever, right? So don't expect him to like talk trash about the current game, the current players, LeBron James. He will not. He will be politically correct, because he said one thing a long time ago. He was like, hey, how come you're not political and you're not standing up for this and that, like, publicly? And he's like, well, Republicans buy shoes too. And you know what? LeBron James fans buy Jordans too. right? Like, so he is going to analyze the game, because I don't think people understand how smart he is and how his basketball IQ, like they never ever give Jordan credit for his basketball IQ, but a guy who would be so efficient, like if you watch his footwork, it's almost like he never had a wasted step. Like where a player today would take 7 steps, he takes 3 or 2, right?
I thought we all knew he had the best footwork for a guard ever.
But the footwork comes with IQ. It's an understanding of the game and angles and positioning. People don't, I think, so I think he's part of it is that. And to Rudige's point, this is actually another great one. Barkley being on ESPN. Yeah. Well, you know what? Me and Barkley, I hate him now. So I'm going to go on NBC and hurt his ratings.
The Nike thing is true too. This is actually
Nike is struggling, right, with the tariffs and stuff. So
even before the tariffs, the sales were down just because people were buying less shoes.
And let's be honest, Adam Silver said, "Hey, you helped build this league. You made this league global. We're struggling. We need you." Like I feel like he's that type of guy that he's like, okay, I'm going to come back and help the game that made me a billionaire. Like, right? Like made me a billionaire. Like his dad, God rest his soul. His dad was asked, what would Jordan be doing if he didn't play basketball? And he said, no hesitation, I'd probably be pumping gas somewhere in Carolina.
I think Michael Jordan, especially during the time in the 80s, he's incredibly well spoken for everybody. Like he was so well spoken. I don't think he gets enough credit.
He is very polished.
Yeah, exactly. Very polished. Almost politician.
Polished is a good word for it.
Yeah, very. I don't think he got enough credit for that. It'll be, I think, the first thing, obviously, when someone asks him a GOAT thing or about LeBron will go viral right away, whatever answer it is.
But his answer has always been the same. When someone asks who's the GOAT, he's like, I don't like having that conversation.
That's true.
Because we never got to play against each other at our peaks, different eras, different times. Like me saying I'm over LeBron, it is disrespectful to Braun. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to Wilt and West and Baylor. Right? He'll say, because we never really got to play against each other in our primes. And that's always been his answer. I think that it will always be his answer. Now, what would be crazy won't happen if he was like, I don't know what he's talking about. He came back from a 3-1 team. So what? Those dudes shot themselves in the foot. Like, I'm the GOAT. I'm the best. He's not 6-0. He's 4-6. Anybody can go to the finals and lose. Like,
he ain't saying all that. I already know. I think last interview really did talking about stuff. I think it was I think he did it with Larry King. And that's the interview where he kind of really asked him about the ghost of it. He said, like you said, about Oscar.
Yeah.
Will, yeah.
That has always been his philosophy. He has so much respect for the game. And it's funny because this is what a lot of people don't like about LeBron, is that LeBron used to be like that, right? When you asked LeBron early in his career, who's the GOAT? He was like, Michael Jordan, right? And he gave you a couple answers. And now it's like, well, I'm the best. And here's why I'm the best. And, you know,
real. They got respect.
It's not. It's really not, though.
It can rub people the wrong way. I can understand why it can rub people the wrong way.
Disrespectful to the game.
But when Muhammad Ali says I'm the GOAT,
that was his bravado was while he was fighting. Yep. It was I'm the greatest, because you're playing an individual physical contest, and he's trying to get in someone's head. I'm the greatest. I'm the best. You know, Muhammad Ali, Foreman going down in foe. Like it was all a game to him. When I spoke to Muhammad Ali, granted it was later on in his life, and you know, he wasn't fully, but he and I said to him, I was like, hey, I think you're the greatest boxer of all time. Thank you. But like Mike Tyson and you in your prime, who's winning? And he's like, he would take my head off with one punch. He goes,
he said that in an interview too. He said that in an interview. I heard him say that.
And he said, and he's like, so he was like, he didn't say it as clearly as I'm saying it, unfortunately, because the disease had kind of kicked in a bit. But he was like, I think he would just be too strong. And although he said, I'm a better boxer. Like I'd make him work for it. The problem is, and he said, the problem is I sometimes stuck my chin out. And if I did that to him, and he made the motion, he went poof, right? And he made his head go, poof. He goes, and it'd be over. He goes, I'd be over there. And I'm like, I disagree. And he's like, thank you. But right. So, but he was respectful of it. So very, very different than him, the boxer and the character, right? Like if it was a one-on-one, like if basketball was a one-on-one and and LeBron was about to face off against Curry in a one-on-one match, and he's like, he can't go against me. He's too short. I'm the greatest ever. That would be different than I'm sitting in the barbershop and saying, I came back from 3-1. That right there. that right there made me the GOAT. No, it didn't.
I get it. Like I get what you're saying.
No,
1v1 thing.
because he knows he's lying. No one championship made anybody the GOAT.
Yeah, that's the cherry on. That was just a final.
It's
Final
well,
step needed.
In
at the end of the day, it's
in
self-proclamation.
In 1994, I had Jordan at number 4. I didn't even have him at number 1.
Hey, a lot of people had number 1 after. I see some articles at 92, 90 after he won that first 2 championships.
You're a liar. You're a liar.
Go on. You go Google it right now. Was it 1992? We'll go Google it right now.
You're gonna bring up an article from
Jordan GOAT.
From GQ magazine that says Michael Jordan, the greatest of all time. Right?
No. That was you showed me. No, you're the one who showed me that article.
Did I show you that one? Okay, because
Yeah,
not one time in that article does it say he's the GOAT. It's a way to get people to buy the magazine.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
that
that's magazine cover.
yeah.
And that's the same thing that you're going to find. The headline is going to be written by someone that he's the greatest, but
Mine more even conversations around the league. I mean, you was hearing when did Larry start calling him the GOAT? Magic start calling him the GOAT. Like it was. I want to say that first.
Yeah, but that's the important part right there. Like people were calling him the GOAT. Like he wasn't like the self-proclaimed GOAT.
I don't think you guys realize though.
Yeah.
In '91, we weren't even using the term GOAT.
Right. Well, no, for sure.
When people say they were calling him the GOAT, you're lying because we didn't even use that term. In fact,
not the GOAT, but like best player of all time.
In 1990, GOAT was actually and before it was a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
If someone called you the GOAT, it was you were responsible for something bad.
Yeah.
You turned like when Chris Webber called the timeout and cost Michigan the NCAA thing, he was the GOAT because he got
the scapegoat. You're like just a GOAT.
Yes, the scapegoat.
Right.
It's fault that they lost.
Yeah.
So people saying he's the best, like he's the best I've ever seen. The people are twisting that and saying he's the best ever, but more they're just saying, hey, he's the best I've ever seen. Well, sure, that'd be like me asking, some kid who's the best you've ever seen. Well, I've only ever seen LeBron. Like I didn't see anybody before him, so he's the best I've ever seen.
I see that. Here's the NBC clip. Magic Johnson called him the GOAT in '93.
Okay, in '93 he just three-peated, right?
No, this is during the halftime 1993 finals. This is before he three-peated.
Yeah. Well, listen, Magic is a known.
He is.
Magic is a known Jordan Glazer. So.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it.
And in Jordan's defense, like he was amidst the 41 points in the NBA Finals. So
he did, yeah. After yes, that's another thing. After those 2 finals, against Portland and Phoenix.
Yeah, but that Phoenix final was ridiculous.
I didn't. I had him, like I said, when he retired, because I don't put people until they retire. When he retired in '93, I placed him 4th behind Kareem, Magic. Hold on, let me pull up my list so I don't misquote myself.
Magic ahead of him after 3.
In 1994, I found. Did I tell you how this happened? My dad doesn't throw away any of my basketball stuff, and he had my notebook, and I had printed it out. So I was like, he goes, "Hey, what do you want me to do with this?" I'm like, "What is that?" And I see this notebook, and it's like I draw. Like I don't know if you see me doing like down here. I have like scrap pieces of paper, like actually a notebook, and I draw all the time. And so I had this book, and it was full of like drawings and and then I'd also have like certain players and game stats, and like I was always obsessed with like that part of basketball, and I would always like who would be the best, who was the best ever, who's blah blah blah. So I found my list of top 10s, and people, you did. I didn't tag you in that TikTok thing, but you were like, you think we haven't been having debates since the beginning of time, and we have. And so people back then we'd even say who's the top 10 or who's better, Wilt or Kareem or whatever. So it was Magic. Actually, I had Magic 1, and now keep in mind, in 1994 I was 30 years younger. Okay, so Magic being my favorite player played a role in who my favorite players played a role in who was the best players. And as you get older, you realize who my favorite is doesn't matter, which is why I always laugh at the 20-year-olds that are like, it's LeBron because I love him. Okay, awesome. So I had Magic at 1, Kareem at 2, Larry at 3, Jordan at 4, Wilt at 5, who I don't even think Wilt's in my top 10 anymore. Wilt at 5, Russell at 6, West at 7, Doc at 8, Oscar at 9, Moses at 10.
Yeah, a couple of those guys are like no top 10 lists anymore.
Well, yeah, because you've got guys like
Duncan, Kobe.
You got Duncan, Kobe, Shaq, Hakeem, right? Kind of push all those guys down, right? So it's that's what happens. There's Steph's gonna bump somebody out. Who knows? LeBron, if for my list now, I already have LeBron there, but when I do my official list, which doesn't include any active players, LeBron's gonna knock out someone, Steph's gonna knock out someone, and then who knows?
Shout out Chill, whose list probably will never change because Kobe's at 11. It's hard to move someone after put ahead of Kobe. Shout out Chill, man, standing on and protecting that 10.
He got his Kobe moat, so it's gonna be hard to get someone right. But if Joker keeps playing the way that he's playing, he might bump out someone. Like it's going to change. And honestly, as we get more new information, like I said back then, I had Magic at 1 because there's a ton of reasons to have him at 1. Even to this day, you can make a GOAT case if you take away longevity. Who did more in 10 years? He went to 11 years. He went to 9 finals. He won 3 MVPs. He's like the greatest passer of all time. Like there's so many things that he did. It's easy to make that case.
Larry. Was Larry ever considered the GOAT?
No.
Never. No one ever. There was never a time after he won that second or third championship. Never a time it was like the best.
Never the best at the time. Never the best ever.
So like people just had
the thing is though, his career, people don't realize his career was even shorter than you think it is, because he came in the same year, 79, 80, but by like 87, 88, he was hurt. So although he still played for like 2-3 more years, he was not the same Larry Bird. And that's why I always laugh when, I think it was 89 or 90, when the Celtics were like, I think it might be time to trade Larry Bird. They were public about it. And Jordan jokingly, and everyone thinks because they don't understand newspapers, jokingly said, oh, well, if they want to trade him, we'll take him. I'll even take a pay cut. And they were like, oh, look at Jordan recruiting. No, it's not. He's not recruiting, you moron. Like he's looked up to this guy. He was never able to beat him. And he's like, oh, if we can get him on our team, sure, I'll take him. Right. Like he wasn't actively going, oh, he's in his prime. He's never been injured. I want him. I need him. He didn't call him up and say, hey, do you want to come sign with me in Indiana? Like it's different. That being said, he was already done. Like I don't know if you know this or not, the 92 Olympic team, he said no. He said, no, I can't. I have a broken back.
Delirium, the back. He was cooked. He was cooked.
Legitimately said, I have a broken back.
Yeah.
And Magic was like, don't worry about it. Can you still shoot? He goes, yeah, I can still shoot. He goes, you just stand there and I'll get you the ball. All you got to do is catch and shoot. And he's like, all right, cool. And if you watch those games, Magic penetrates, pass, Bird, catch and shoot. Bird, catch and shoot.
They just wanted to play together one last time.
Yeah. Well, they wanted to play together once, like at all.
Yeah.
So he wasn't, he wasn't.
They never played together like in a college Olympic team?
No.
Oh, I thought they would have played together.
Well, that's not true. They played as part of the NBA All-Stars in 1984 that went and played the U.S. Olympic team, which was all college players, Jordan, Ewing, and the college players beat them eight times. They went 8-0 against them, and Jordan dominated them. That's when they started saying, oh, who is this dude? Like, that's why they gave him so much respect once he came into the league. And they were like, dude, it's because as a college player, he led a team that beat us. And they were trying. Like, don't think maybe they didn't try as hard the first game, but you play 8 times and you lose.
Yeah, lose 8 times is crazy. Losing 8 straight times.
Jordan is the leading scorer every single time. Like, there's clearly Rudic says they played together in 78 in the Pan Am game. So I didn't know that. So there you go.
Bob Knight isn't the best player of all time at that point.
Yeah, but then again, he's comparing them to probably college players too, right?
Right. No. I just remember that being that quote coming from that. Like, it's the best player I ever seen.
Yeah. I don't know that we're gonna have time to do this, but let me pull it up. Let me pull it up and see if we can. So there's a game in 1984. I might just do, I'll invite you guys if you want to come and join me. I might just do it as a separate, like a different time, not on the show.
No, but I am.
But there was a game. What's that?
I'm down for that.
I was going to ask between. I've always said I think Muhammad Ali and Michael Jordan are the 2 athletes with the most quote unquote aura that I've seen. Who had more at their peak? I've always said Muhammad Ali, I think, but Michael Jordan right there just because I don't think athletes today can have the same aura just because of their kind of availability through social media stuff. You just like see them all the time. There's like a mystery around Jordan and stuff. You know what I mean? Like when they leave for the offseason, they just kind of disappear. Who had more aura, Fluent? Muhammad Ali or Michael Jordan at their best?
Hold on, let me just turn this volume down and tell me again, and then ask me again.
I've always kind of said Muhammad Ali and Michael Jordan are the two athletes with the most aura. I think in to me really in history. I'll say Western society.
Deion Sanders.
More or no, but no, to me, the aura of mystery between Jordan and Muhammad Ali kind of adds to just I think again after there are two out there. Yeah. I think so. I think when you're too available, especially in camera and stuff today, like you don't have aura. Like I just think, especially like with actors and stuff today, there's no aura around it just because you're so available. So I thought who at their peak had more aura, Muhammad Ali or Jordan?
Okay, define aura because
like when you. I guess when you walk into a room, like a wow, but I guess both of them would have that, obviously. But if they both walked into a room, who would more people?
I would say because of the times that they were in, I think it would be Jordan. For two reasons. Jordan was a bigger global star, but also the world, right, was a billion more people, and they were known more globally because of media. Just like I think. Athletes today are more. It's actually they've probably diluted it to it's too much exposure.
Too many, yeah, that's what I think.
Whereas in the time that Muhammad Ali was doing it, like he was living in a country that he still couldn't, like in his hometown as a gold medalist, there was restaurants he couldn't eat in because he was black.
Yeah.
So I think that takes away from some of what you're saying is that walking in the room and being, starstruck or awestruck by him. I think it, and I think that's the only reason. I think if they were both in the same time, like if they were both kind of popular in the late 80s, 90s, I think it would be Muhammad Ali because I think he was the bigger personality.
I think Muhammad Ali got even more popular as time went on. Even after stuff like the stories.
People started to appreciate kind of who he was, what he did.
100%.
Like and that's unfortunate that they didn't appreciate him at the time, but that was the world, unfortunately, that he lived in. But he did a lot of things that helped with that, right? Like so, he was very outspoken, about the war and those types of things. So he's that political side. It was tougher, like him, Bill Russell, obviously like Jackie Robinson. Like there's a number of guys that had it tough. Like none of the athletes today, none of the athletes, even these guys that we're watching right now, none of them had to go through anywhere near.
Oh yeah, not like at that 100%.
Nowhere near what those, like they talk about, we have athletes now talking about the stress of like social media and I got to take a break from Twitter. Really? How about having a cross?
Hey, Michael Jordan came out and said that. No,
but I disagree with him too. I'm saying, imagine having a cross burning on your front lawn. You know what I mean? Like,
true. I hear it. Bigger. Yeah, I hear you.
Significantly different life issues, right?
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do is I'll preview it a little bit right here. But basically, Bill Laimbeer didn't like that. We're gonna watch this game because this is a game where Jordan goes 4 of 8 from the field. And there was let's be honest, I was having a Twitter beef, and I'm like, okay, he went 4 of 8, but did you watch the game? And the answer always seems to be, it doesn't matter if I watch the game. And I'm like, I watched this. I look, it was a long time ago, but I remember watching. Do I remember all the details? Of course not. But I remember watching this game live, and I watched it again. And let's be clear, I try to go back and watch games again because you forget stuff.
You can't remember games 20 years ago. Yeah,
exactly. Like I'm sure, like I remember, but I remember big moments, and like when Jordan only shoots 8 times, and I'm watching it live. Unless I was like when I saw Kobe give up in the fourth quarter, right? Even though it wasn't 30 years ago, it was only 20 years ago. I'm like, I remember him just like not shooting, and he was like trying to prove a point, and he blew a game 7 on purpose because you were calling him a ball hog, and he was going to show you. And it was very immature and it was very stupid. He didn't quit on his team. He was being childish and selfish and immature and wanted to prove a point. And I'm like, I don't remember watching this game and thinking Jordan is being immature and childish and trying to prove a point. I feel like I remember from the first time I watched it, he was getting doubled and tripled a lot, and he was swinging it, and then they were making the extra pass, and Craig Hodges, who was being the beneficiary of it, was getting a lot of open shots. And every time he did get a look and went to the basket, because at this point, right, he was more driving. Like I feel like he was getting fouled pretty hard, and he went to the line a number of times. So then I watched the game again a few years ago. Then I look at the stats and I see he went to the line 11 times, which is a lot. And then I'm like, yeah, see, like even there, like there's two guys on him. Oh, that was Pippen, but so anyways, that's what I remember. And so I said, let me watch it again and see, like, does he quit on the team or, and that's okay. If he did, then I'll say, yeah, he quit on the team. But there's right, you got Craig Hodges in the corner open, so he's going to pass it to him. I think he had 9 assists. I think you had asked if he had 11 or something. I think he had 9.
Gotcha.
But again, don't quote me because I'm going off my memory, which admittedly isn't good, which is why I always like when they give people crap for going on like Basketball Reference. I'm like, dude, you can't remember every player's stats from every game. Like, so 9. Oh yeah, so he had 9. He had 9 assists.
Well, there it is.
Which, by the way, puts him at he led his team in assists with 9. He was second between the two teams. He was second in assists, only behind someone had 12. Isaiah Thomas, who had 12 assists.
I have the box score here. Oh, he still dropped 18.
Yeah, he's still yeah. Craig Hodges, had one more point than him, but Craig Hodges also took more shots. Yeah. And keep in mind, right, you also have to look at what was happening in that series. So the next game, Jordan goes 13 of 25 and drops 32. And I'm wondering if the game before that, because this is where I talk about coach's strategy. Like maybe the coach was like, hey, they're expecting you to come out firing. Because, right? Why don't you? Because here's the game plan, right? Let's get Craig Hodges involved. Let's get Pippen involved. Let's get Horace Grant involved, right? There's a game if you remember the year before, I think Doug College is coaching, and he's like, hey, what are you seeing on the court? And Jordan goes, Paxson is open in the corner, and Phil's like, well, then let's get Paxson the ball in the corner. So Jordan would penetrate, kick it to Paxson, and Paxson starts making shots. So he's like, well, shit, he's making shots, so I'm just gonna keep getting the ball to Paxson. Like that's smart basketball. Like we praise LeBron for doing that. I praise Magic for finding the open man all the time. Like, why are we gonna knock him for doing that? Because let's be honest, the Pistons been kicking these guys' butts, and so it's like, why not try something else, right? Like he scored 63 on Boston and lost, so why not try a different approach?
That's exactly it. I'm glad you said that because that's exactly what I was going to say. Is like at that point, yeah, why wouldn't you try something different? I mean, that just seems to make sense within the flow of the game. Like it seems like what he was doing was appropriate.
And it's funny because it's like, oh, they went on their run when Jordan was off the court. Jordan was off the court for 5 minutes. Pippen was off the court for like 10. So I don't know. So
Brad Sellers is 7 foot 215 pounds. And they list him at 220. No. Yeah, they list him at 220 here. I looked at his Basketball Reference. He's a skinny 7 foot 210 pounds at Basketball Reference. In the screen here, they list him as 720. Yeah, it's 7 foot. That's wildly skinny. I don't know how he survived.
But he's not that skinny.
Maybe he's cold as weight. I don't know. I mean, does look skinny, but again,
where Brad Sellers even on the court?
Isn't that him?
No, that's Bill Cartwright.
That's where they put him out. He came in after a free throw. Am I tripping?
He was on the screen for a moment. I did see him. Yes.
Yeah,
that's a very unmistakable form on his shot. Rick Mahorn with the foul. So
usual.
Yes, it is Cartwright.
That's Cartwright there. Yeah.
But it's Cartwright in the post, which again is now. Keep in mind, look who's coaching. Let me teach you something. Do you know who the coach of this team is?
For
Daly?
Detroit, Chuck Daly, yeah, legendary.
No, for Chicago.
Who was it before?
Oh, 89? Is this Doug Collins?
Doug Collins.
Mm.
So tell me what you know about Doug Collins' coaching history.
Couldn't tell you much.
Because there
I
isn't
know he
any.
got a.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I know
okay.
he had a few attempts after this,
There
but
it is.
Actually, no, he didn't. And his next coaching job is in Washington for the Wizards when Michael Jordan hires him back.
oh,
He must have liked him. Like, hey, something was.
Yeah, he liked him because he said,
That's
"Give
true.
Jordan the ball and get the f out of the
Oh,
way."
that's what Michael's numbers
Yeah.
would go through the roof. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Like Jordan averaged, like I think it was like 34, 8, and 8
Yeah.
with Doug Collins. He loves Doug Collins for that. But Collins had never coached high school, like nothing ever did Doug Collins coach before getting this Bulls job. So like it's like you're expecting him to give a good, like they listened to their coach back then. Well, you have a guy who's never coached before. Like, okay, he played basketball, but he's never coached. And you're expecting him to give a good philosophy. Like he's saying, hey, Jordan, pass the ball into Cartwright to post up Mahorn. Like just to think about like, does that make sense? I'd be like, Cartwright, set a screen, let Jordan do his thing, man. Let him get busy.
that's true.
Hey, sometimes you gotta let your teammates rock. Makes sense.
And what's interesting is if Jordan didn't believe in Phil Jackson or Tex Winters, oh yeah. So here, he coaches the Bulls those 3 seasons. Then he coaches 95, 96. He coaches Detroit for 3 seasons. Then he has 2 years with Washington in 2001, 2002. So he did, right? Takes a bit. And then he coached Philly 7 years later for 3 seasons. So, okay, cool. So, you know, it's just, I don't know. I don't trust coaches who never coached before.
Right there.
We should be looking at the Jordan rules too. You're actually right, Bamboo, because actually we're not. We're seeing what the hell Mike was thinking. Only taking 8 shots this game, but we're gonna let's set up a time because we're past time. Let me know when you guys are available to do it, and I'll put it on bigger screen.
Yeah,
I should do
100% down. That'd be fun. I think that'd be a good thing to analyze. So
I didn't
yeah,
know.
I'm down.
Yeah, so we'll look at why he only takes 8 shots. Okay, because let's be honest, I've been talking and I haven't been paying attention to this game as much as I should. And while we're doing it, to Bamboo's point, what we'll do is we'll analyze the Jordan rules and why he only took 8 shots. And I'm going to tell you right there. See that guy who just checked in? That's Dennis Rodman, by the way, in case you didn't know. He's a huge reason why he only took 8 shots. Because the defense he plays on Jordan is fantastic.
I was just gonna say, if you ever want to see a masterclass, Dennis Rodman, Detroit Pistons, some of the stuff he used to do, Magic to Michael to Larry. I mean, yeah, he's definitely a fun guy to watch.
Hey, I just want to point out something. So the guy was telling me they went on this crazy run when Jordan was off. So Jordan's been off now for about a minute, and the first thing they did was turn the ball over. And so if he's already out for 2 minutes here, that means he only missed like 1 or 2 minutes of the second half. So how did they go on a run in the second half without him when he only missed 1 or 2 minutes of the second half? You're telling me he came out for a minute?
I think a basketball referee. Yeah.
Sounds not adding up.
He played 46 minutes this game.
Okay, so he was off for 2 minutes, and here's one of them right now. So him saying, "Oh, they went on a run when he was gone," like
that's a wild take if a guy plays 46 minutes.
It's
actually crazy that he only took 8 shots in 46 minutes. That's actually, I thought maybe some foul trouble happened. You know what I mean? Maybe that was the thing, but 46 minutes too, though.
No, like I said, I feel like memory. So that's why I want to watch.
Yeah,
It was that they were doubling him and they were just forcing the ball out of his hand. So he said, "Cool, here." And then every time he did drive, he got fouled, and he shot free throws. And he went, I think he goes 11 of 12. You have the stats up there. Does he go 11 of 12 from the free throw line?
It is. He went 10 of 11 right there. Yeah.
10 of 11. Okay, I was off by 1. My memory is not as bad as I thought. All right, so we'll do that. We'll set that up. So let me kick these guys off then. Thank you for joining us, Pistons and Bulls. We'll see you next time. I don't know what day yet, but let me know what day you guys are free.
All right.
Check out Tuesday, 8:00, Fluent and Chill. We will not be watching this game. Hoop Social. What's your thing on? Is TikTok your biggest account?
TikTok is, yes. Yeah, I got about 5,600 on TikTok.
What's your? Is it at Hoop Social?
Yep.
What's your
Yes, it is
superhero?
me.
What's your superhero name?
Superhero name.
Yeah, I thought you sent me a thing about you being a superhero and
That I forgot. Yeah, that was part of my MO on Hoop Social is jumping into people's lives and validating them when they
tell them
when
how
they
great they are.
let them know that they're not alone when they make good points. That's all. I won't do it for everybody, but if they're making a good point and they're getting swallowed up by casuals, I like to usually toss them a bone and go, "Hey, there's people out here that appreciate you trying." So yeah,
I might start doing some lives then.
Do it up.
When's your next album dropping, Jalen?
Oh, I have to figure out when the next song. I have it ready. We just got to figure out again. It's the whole. It's a lot of work doing the marketing stuff for it. You know how like the actual making the music is easy part technically. It's just the marketing.
Do you have a name? Like, what's the name of your latest single that you're?
Oh, it's called "Crying in the Rain."
Crying in the Rain.
Crying in the Rain. It's that old school R&B. That crying in the rain, get your girl back R&B. That's what we want to face on. So it's like, yeah, call it "Crying in the Rain."
Do you know what people think about R&B music?
We do not care.
They secretly love it. They secretly love it. They secretly.
Nice.
Trust me, I'm the
Well
guy.
played.
They give me the aux. Sometimes I remember. I think I put on like a Luther Vandross song with like 5 dudes in the car to like change this. There's not into it. What are you gonna do? I love me, so I don't care anytime any plays, baby.
You love some Luther, but not when you're in a car with 5 dudes.
Hey, man, it don't matter, baby. Luther good anywhere. You know what I mean?
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
TikTok's about to. I made a TikTok about Justin Timberlake the other day too. It kind of went like mini viral. It has like 100 and something comments. People just people showing love. I always say these haters are trash, this and that. Yeah, but it's all like you can tell like millennial women just showing love to Justin. Like, yeah, he's still the man. Or even like the older ones. Yeah, so it's funny. But yeah, shout out to all you commenters. I love to see it. And free Chris Brown. I was supposed to see him in concert in a couple months, and now they're holding him in jail with no bail in London. What are you gonna do?
Or replace Chris Brown in concert with Jalen Carter music.
Hey,
Boom.
sell the stadium. Hey, give me that couple million. I'm sure he would have made.
This guy got to be controlling your marketing. You want to plug? This guy knows how to do it.
There
you go. All right, later, y'all.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Oh, Canada.
Put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother.
It means nothing. It means nothing.
No, they lying to you. It's about the money.
Now you're more fluent.